Greetings YouTube. Today we're looking at a Camillus knife from the titanium line. There are instructions falling out of there. And this is the Dominator 2. And I picked this up because I was very much impressed with the Bixby. The Bixby just floored me with the quality of the knife. So I thought, okay, I'll give another Camillus a shot. And here is the knife. It has a obviously glass-filled handles. This side is completely skeletonized, which is a nice look. I think it's very attractive. It almost makes it. I mean, it's flat, but it almost makes it look like it's sculpted out because of the way it's cut out. It gives it the illusion that there's more dimensionality there than actually is. This side got the same kind of semi-visible cutouts, mostly for aesthetic balance, I think. Single position pocket clip, got the same. It's got that Camillus dagger style, though it's a little bit smaller than the Bixby. I think the Bixby's cutout is a little more aesthetically pleasing. It's a larger scale. This doesn't sit as deep in the pocket. Obviously, you're going to get about that much sticking out of your pocket, so it's going to be a little bit more visible. But because of these things, it's going to be very easy to deploy it without any difficulty whatsoever. It's kind of boxy, and while it does have a lanyard hole, which is big enough for paracord, that does let me get it out there. It does expose it to the blade. Can you see that? Yeah, it does expose it to the blade. And it's not touching that hole, but it's also not far from that hole. So that's going to be a difficulty in my book if you use a lanyard hole, a lanyard which has been out at 550. It may, because it's a loop of material, it may come in contact with that edge, which I don't think is a good thing. So let's get the knife blade out. Oh, sorry. There we go. It does need a little bit of oomph to get it going. It's not quite smooth enough to drop close, but it's not far off. I didn't tweak it at all. So there we have the overall shape. The knife blade itself got no play in it, which is nice. It's got a nice swedge back here on the top of the blade, which is also hollow ground as well as the blade. And again, as I've said many times before, I prefer flat grinds. But that is a personal preference. But I find it interesting that the swedge up here also has the same style of hollow grind. I don't know how many swedges I've seen that do that. I think most swedges I've seen have been flat. It's an interesting question. How many knives do I have that have a hollow ground swedge? I don't know. Now this says DDR, and it says let's see if I can get in there. Daryl Ralph Design. Okay, so they're saying that Daryl Ralph designed this, which is okay. Daryl Ralph does have a knife called the Dominator out there. I know I own one. It's a much higher end knife. It's got like nickel silver bolsters and titanium handle slabs. But why the heck would you call it a DDR if it's Daryl Ralph Design? Was that a faux pas? Because wouldn't that make DRD make more sense? I was confused by that when I first read it. I'm like, why would you say that? But well, there it is. And there it is, the Camillus titanium design. You got, again, solid lockup. Got about a 40% across the lockup on that blade, which is fine. Obviously, the one scale is fully skeletonized and the other is not skeletonized in the least. It's not difficult to close. There's jimping here on the flipper, and there's jimping here on the liner lock itself, and the scale is a little bit lower, so you have access to that without any difficulty. Having the offside scale lower than the other side, I always think is a good design choice. However, now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, or more appropriately, the Muddy the Mud Skipper flipper. Yeah, because that's what that looks like. That looks like Muddy the Mud Skipper's little hand flapping out in the breeze. And it is so jarring for this overall look. It looks so out of place in my book. It just doesn't seem to fit in at all. I don't like it. Flat out. I think it's scaled wrong. I think it's just unattractive. It is not a pretty design in the least. So yeah, I'm like, wow, that was a design choice. I don't know, because that's not on Dominator. That's not what the flipper looks like. So I just couldn't understand why Ralph would come up with a flipper that looked like that. Was it like a committee involved in some way? They felt that they didn't want the kind of more triangular shape or wedge shaped design you often have on flippers. So they wanted something that was, you know, a little bit more unique looking, but that just does not fit the scale and the style of this knife. It is just, ugh, I didn't like it. The knife is a little boxy. It's not horrible. It's not real. It's more of a 3-finger grip on this thing. It's not a very big knife. It is light, if you like light, and it's not overly wide, which is nice. It's not overly thick, and it's a light knife, so it's not going to take up a lot of pocket real space, and it's not going to weigh your pocket down. But yeah, that right there for me is a deal breaker. I picked this up because I wanted to see the overall quality because the Bixby impressed me so much, but nothing on this knife can overcome that. That's a choice. It isn't a good one in my book. They should have gone with something else. So this has been the Dominator 2. Not as impressive as the Dominator, I can tell you that. And I don't understand why you call it DDR instead of DRD, but that's also a bit beyond me. But if you're gonna get a Bixby, gonna get a Camillus knife, get the Bixby. Skip the Dominator 2. I think you'll be a hell of a lot happier with it. So this has been the Camillus Dominator 2 for what it's worth.